دبي مدينة عالمية ومركز التجارة والاستقرار، ولديها ماضي عريق وإرث ثقافي غني. في مارس 2010 تم تكريم حكومة دبي بجائزة القيادة العالمية المشرقة من كبيرة المعلمين شنغهاي كتكريم لحظرها التدخين في الأماكن العامة. في ديسمبر 2010 أول مؤتمر نباتي في الشرق الأوسط على الإطلاق تم عقده في مركز معرض دبي الدولي، وتمت دعوة العامة للمشاركة في استكشاف تفاعلي لنمط العيش النباتي. تم تنظيمه من قبل المنظمة النباتية في الشرق الأوسط مي فيج تحت رعاية معرض الشرق الأوسط للمنتجات الطبيعية والعضوية لعام 2010، وتمت الموافقة عليه من قبل سلطة دبي الصحية في الإمارات العربية المتحدة. قدمت الفعالية ندوات على مدى يومين، ورش عمل وبث تلفزيوني مصور مع الخبراء من حول العالم، إلى جانب مطعم تجديد الشباب النباتي. إلى جانب كبير المعلمين شنغهاي، والتي تمت دعوتها شخصيا لتتحدث عن طريق رابط فيديو بخصوص كون المرء نباتيا هو خيار غذائي مستدام من الناحية البيئية، وتبعها جلسة أسئلة وأجوبة مع الحضور، وإطلاق النسخة العربية من الكتاب الأكثر مبيعا على المستوى الدولي الطيور في حياتي، والذي سبق أن بيع بالكامل قبل الإصدار. ندعوكم الآن إلى الاستماع بإعادة البث التالية لمؤتمر الفيديو المباشر مع كبيرة المعلمين شنغهاي بعنوان أول مؤتمر نباتي في الشرق الأوسط مي فيج، الذي عقد في مدينة دبي في الإمارات العربية المتحدة في 7 ديسمبر 2010.
Let's welcome Dr. Aiden for his speech.
There you go. A pleasure.
Good morning, everyone, especially the future generation who are here. How do we survive on this planet? Why do we get ill? And why should we become sick? And how to avoid all that? So I've been working on this for the last half a century, to be very precise. Little over that. Ever since I joined the medical school way back in 1956, I've been worrying about this human being. What is health then? Enthusiasm to work. Get up in the morning and the first thing you ask is, do I want to go to school? Do I want to go to the office? Do I want to work? And if the answer is yes, you're very healthy. You can have a serious disease and still be healthy. Have you heard of Stephen Hawking? Steve is the professor of physics in Cambridge who had a peculiar disease 42 years ago, which is called amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. And if you read a textbook of medicine which tells you amyotrophic lateral sclerosis is a diagnosis of a death warrant. Patient should be dead within 6 months to 2 years after the diagnosis. 42 years that man has defied this diagnosis and this definition. And is still continuing, very productive, writes books, etc. Can't talk, can't eat, can't sit, can't do nothing, can't even lift his hand, can't even lift a finger. But he's very healthy because enthusiasm to work. Do you know when you have enthusiasm to work? When you love your work. So you have to be enthusiastic to work. Second thing is, you have to have enthusiasm for compassion. You should love this whole universe because we are interconnected. I'll show you very quickly how interconnected we are. Health is a state of perfect subatomic communication. This was a gentleman, Albert Pope, who in 1970 showed that every cell in the human body, the DNA, emits a light. And this light, if it is synchronous in the whole body, you are healthy. When there is dysynchronous in the whole body, you are unhealthy. Not only that, my light will probably vibrate with Shankar's light, if I like Shankar. And if I hate him, then there is disharmony and my health goes bad. Can you believe that? So we have now scientific proof to say that you have a beautiful system inside. Human beings are built to last as long as you live. But today we have changed the atmosphere completely. We started eating all kinds of animals. We have polluted the whole area. We have chemicals in everything that you eat. Water you drink, the milk you take, everything is chemicals. So you get diseases. Otherwise you should not get disease. So why are we suffering? Situations have changed drastically. Diseases are not unusual these days. And the most important thing is the immune system. It is a handyman which keeps you alive, has been knocked down by our modern lifestyle. Now, how do you know you are well? The best definition is in Ayurveda. Sama dhatuhu. I'll read that. You eat well, you have appetite, you sleep well, you get good sleep, and you have enthusiasm to work, and you don't hate nobody, you are very healthy. Did you get that? You get up in the morning and say, do I have all this? You are very healthy. That's the sign. So you don't have to go to a doctor, you can know it yourself. This was the first textbook of medicine written in 1733. Those days there were no industries to influence the doctors. And this was the first professor of medicine in Vienna. His name is Charles Schmitz in 1773. He wrote a beautiful book where he says, most diseases can be changed by these three things, which is true even today. Change of mode of living. That's the essence of this conference. Change of mode of living. True. Tranquility of mind. Last. Drugs rarely, comma, if ever, full stop. Now where is the mind? Mind is a single word in the English language. But in the mother of all languages, Sanskrit, there are 5 words for a mind. The mind of a child, newborn child, which can just recognize maybe after a few months, is called manas. M-A-N-A-S. That is something like a dark room with a window. So the child sees something in the window, it smiles. Do you know how many times a young child smiles in a day? Roughly, young lady? 500 to 1000 times it smiles. Ask yourself, how many times you smiled yesterday? The less number of times you smile, the regular is your heart rate, and when you don't smile, you may get a heart attack. So keep smiling. And when you smile, naturally you relax so much, your blood pressure comes down, your heart rate comes down, and you will be surprised, your headache disappears. Now, human body has a wonderful wisdom. The human body tells you when you are not well. Now, supposing you are traveling, let us say, and you are very tense due to something, then certain parts of your muscles tense up. Maybe your neck muscle, your back muscle, your shoulder muscles tense up. So the following day, you have a neck ache, you have a back ache, or your shoulder ache. And what do? You go to the doctor. He takes an X-ray. He has not been X-raying your mind, what happened to you in the plane. But he has X-rayed you, and as it so happens that all of us don't have an identical X-ray, so slight changes is, you have spondylitis. So you're very happy, your diagnosis, your name. And especially ladies, so that in their kitty party they can talk. I have little BP, I have little cholesterol. You know, they're very happy because they're in a different class. But all this is wrong because that's not a disease at all. And what you need is, the most important thing is, we need a new science of man. Now, very interesting thing is, we have to look at the human body as a whole, not as a heart, brain, leg and all. Because every cell in the human body, of which I told you 10 to the power 14 cells are there, they all have different shapes. Brain cell looks different from the heart cell, but they all function alike. The brain cell, the heart cell, the lung cell, hand cell, leg cell, bone cell, all function alike. And how do they do that? They have a normal pattern. And they work on energy. Where does this energy come from? A very little part of that energy comes from what you eat. But the large part of it comes from the sun. That is why in those countries where sun is very less, and if you don't expose yourself to sun, you get all kinds of diseases. Sun keeps you alive and healthy. So expose yourself to the sun. You see these Muslim houses have a big courtyard. Because ladies, when they go out, put the burqa, but when they come home, they can sit in the sun and get the sun. What thoughtful people our ancestors were. Today we have got concrete buildings where you sit inside, you don't get sun at all. Most of my elderly patients who have heart disease, I tell them the first treatment is morning 1 hour in the sun, evening 1 hour in the sun. You need not sit in the afternoon because the sun in India is very hot. 1 hour, they all walk about. Very nice. So this sun's energy is the thing that keeps you going. This was a gentleman, a friend of mine, who was working for NASA. He is a doctor, but a physicist too. He is an MD in medicine, PhD in physics. And he was used with NASA to see that people who go to the moon